Good evening, fight fans. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, with me, as always, is Mr. Bobby Blunts. Bobby, what a so no UFC, not really even much combat sports over this past weekend, but we'll start with the PFL making rapid changes as it was coming down here the last few hours or so. There's been heavy changes, as we know, and just as far as not so much as like Don Davis isn't out, but just not really having Don be the talking head. They have a new president and everything else. And John Martin has tweeted this out here recently. And it's you just retweeted it, but so if you want to check it for everybody, want to check it for themselves, feel free to do so. But John Martin, who is the new president of the PFL, his tweet, historically the PFL crowned champions through its season or tournament format, where the winner held the title for that year. I recognize this created some confusion about who truly sat atop each division. That confusion grew when the PFL and Bellator merged, bring it not only tournament champions, but legacy Bellator champions who defended their belts, leaving fans unclear on who was the definitive champion in each weight class. We are now simplifying, thank goodness, our championship system. Going forward, each division will have one PFL world champion, the single undisputed title holder in that weight class, which we recently saw between Costello Van Steen scored the last-second win over Johnny Eblen to become the PFL middleweight world champion. They also announced a few upcoming fights. We do know that next weekend is Usman versus Paul Hughes. So we'll have to talk about that next week as well. And plus the obviously UFC is back this weekend and next weekend. But I didn't realize that Usman Paul Hughes was next weekend. That crept up on me. They also announced that Corey Anderson versus Dovat. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. Yasha Murgadov.
Where's Wit when you need him?
Yeah, for the PFL light heavyweight world championship. This was key earlier in the day because this was some confusion when they first announced this. It was Vladimir Nemkov versus Hendon Ferreira for the PFL heavyweight world championship. And that's going to be, I believe, held in Europe as well. And then Chris Cyborg versus Sarah Collins for the PFL women's featherweight world championship is also on that card. So there was a lot of speculation when they announced that title for that heavyweight, that maybe Francis was leaving the PFL, that there was some problems. He did clear that up here in this last part of his tweet. I also know there's been some confusion around unique distinctions in the past, like the super fight title won by Francis that was special one-time designation. Going forward, those belts may be used only for occasional special events importantly, he's going to be engaging directly with Francis to determine what's next for him in the PFL. So I wonder if it seems like Don and Francis to me, by reading that, Francis and Don aren't going to be the ones communicating. It's much like Dana and Francis weren't communicating, and it became Hunter Campbell and Francis communicating for his contract. Now it seems like Mr. Martin and Francis are going to be the one working towards this. Is that your read on just the Francis part alone before we get into the rest?
Yeah, I kind of have a little bit of a different take on the Francis part, and I don't want to bury the lead too quick because, like, this is not hyperbole. I think that tweet is the greatest PFL tweet of all time. Like, it not only laid out everything we wanted, everything we've been asking for, but legitimately, he laid out every single point there. Like, if there was any type of question or anything, and even knowing that he was going to get kind of bombarded with the Francis thing, he even put that at the bottom. To me, I look at it like the PFL has learned its lesson a little bit. And, knowing that Francis only has one fight left on his deal, why would you put yourself in that scenario and have him fight for the title? That'd be kind of the same mess that the UFC dealt with when they kind of bet against him, hoping Gane would beat him, and Francis was able to win. So I think it's just more strategic by someone that is a little bit more in the know of what they're doing. And, with that one fight left, they're pretty much announcing, hey, we're doing this. We're laying it all out. I don't know if they heard that Francis is boxing or what, but they know they got one more left in him, and they can deal with that one fight. But to me, when I saw this tweet, I did not even think of Francis Ngannou for 1 second, because I got everything I wanted in this tweet just from the aspect of they are finally listening to everyone that's been saying, simplify it. I have never understood the reason why you have to make the PFL tourney winner the champion. And I don't know if this is going to mean more events down the line, kind of in between, because, normally when the tournament, they have some space in between those because it's mainly the in-season tournament and then their overseas shows. But, John Martin said it best in that tweet. He is simplifying the product to make it more digestible. And I just have to say, bravo and well done for making that move.
Yeah, it is very simple because, it seemed like when the last time Jonathan Coachman was talking, it was like this tournament's going to be the winner, then they're going to face the super champion, then their winner's going to face the next champion. So with this all being said, it seems like they're probably semi getting away with the tournament or the in-season tournament. Is that it is as well? It seems like maybe.
I could see them still doing somewhat of an in-season tournament and just giving this guy the trophy or something. I mean, let's be real. They don't really care about the belt. They care about the prize pool in it. So are they doing away with that? I'm not really sure, because that is something I think that attracts a lot of people. Like Brian Battle, for example, was just signed, and he literally talked about the tournament. And go ahead.
Real quick. Rob says the product grew and then grew out the previous benchmarks. He loves the move, the PFL. He says here, and he says the tournament remains. So I do like the tournament, and the fact that they've simplified the tournament even makes it even better as well.
Yeah, no. Last year the tournament was much more digestible. You didn't have to really keep track of any of the Fugazi scoring. It was pretty much you win, you advance, you lose, you're out. So, and I do think they're going to be doing a lot more events now because of this. And that would pretty much include the tournament still being a thing. But then they have actual title fights. And not to really compare it to UFC, but the tournament will kind of act like fight nights, and the title fights would be more like kind of their number cards. Long overdue, but Rob said in the chat, they've grown. To my knowledge, the ESPN deal runs through 2026. So they got one more year of that. And I think with the UFC being gone, they're going to have a lot more kind of favorable time slots and stuff. Because, last tournament, they were definitely kind of being the good soldier and more filling what ESPN asked them to. So, ESPN is launching the whole new app. They're going to want to have programming on there. So, for now, I think they're there to stay, and they've really set themselves up in a good position for negotiations in the future, which is, to my knowledge, John Martin's main job there.
Yeah. So real quick, John Martin did say that the ESPN deal runs through 2026, and you got to think ESPN would want to go back to the PFL, would maybe want to stay on ESPN, and because they're not getting they're not competitive with the UFC there no more, and you're still getting the product. ESPN's trying to fill a lot of things with their ESPN app. And also I wanted to clarify, so that Nemenkov and Fiera for the heavyweight title and Cyborg fight. That is actually going to be in Lyon, France, Saturday, December 13th at the LDLC Arena. Plus, they'll have 2 PFL Europe tournament finals as well. You got to also think that Zimbabwe, not Zimbabwe, but what's his name? The guy who stepped on, I can't think.
Doumbé. And
Doumbé.
if I could piggyback off that, when
Yeah.
I saw the announcement, all I saw were people bitching that Doumbé was not on the card. And it's like, can you not just celebrate decent news for 1 second? Like, we finally got what we wanted, and they immediately just have to go like, oh, the fucking PFL doesn't know what they're doing. They don't have Master Splinter on the card. And, you know, maybe they'll get him on. I've kind of been wondering what's going on with Cedric Doumbé, but great choice putting it in France, because whether it's wrestling, MMA, those crowds always show up.
Yeah. Real quick, Rob's got some comments here. I know the details of the deal, can't write it all here. Just say the deal is booty cheeks, explains why you only see the same 2 or 3 commercials 100 times. I think he's talking about the PFL UFC deal. Yeah, it's probably but Rob, I would say I think that's an ESPN standard deal. I don't know the details, but this is just my guess because I see those same 2 or 3 commercials that are on ESPN Plus, no matter what the fuck I'm watching on ESPN Plus, whether it is WWE now, whether it's a football game, whether it was the UFC. I felt like I seen the same 5 fucking commercials or 3 or 4 commercials every time. So,
but ESPN is absolutely not paying PFL $20 million per event.
Oh, absolutely not.
With the UFC.
Yeah. Absolutely. Rob's he said he's gonna send me the voice note, so maybe we can get that clarified. Appreciate it, Rob. Thanks a lot. So he also said here the regional tournament feeds the world tournament. The world tournament makes the Champions League, which are fighters too big to be in the tournament anymore, i.e. Dakota and such. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, Rob. The tournament does I feel like the tournament does provide them, the person who wins gets some shine, and then they don't really want to go through it again, and now they can fight for a different title. So I do like the point there. As far
it's like a contender series light, but they're already signed to the organization.
Yeah. I do think that a couple of years ago, I said they were going to become the de facto number 2, and here they are. I think that they've made that. I think once they acquired Bellator, they took some steps back, and now I think now that they're getting some right people at the top of the organization, they're going to take the steps forward. So I felt like they were here, and they were actually ahead of Bellator. They acquired Bellator, and then they took some steps back from that, right? Like it took them some time. They've letting guys walk out of the organization that they didn't want to pay for. And then their stock is not, just hyperbole, like their stock kind of lowered. And now I feel like they're getting the right people at the top to figure all this out, to simplify everything and move and get the ship right back in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, when they acquired Bellator, I was very clear and vocal saying they're not number 2. One is number 2. And goddamn, did that take age like milk? Because one is just continuing to struggle. Like I can't even really consider them an MMA promotion anymore. They still have Anatoly Markov, but they keep losing guys, left and right. UFC got RDR, obviously, and some more big names have gone. They keep dropping people in their grappling. So it's amazing the difference a year makes, because now I expect the PFL to have plenty of success and be around, where I didn't know if they were going to make it a year. And now I think almost the same thing about one. I wonder how much longer Chatri can keep kicking the can down the road. But
At
It
this
I
point, I think Ryzen has passed one as far as just kind of what they're doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But just imagine though, like you brought up the PFL Bellator acquisition. Imagine how much more of a better acquisition that would have been if right after they made that acquisition, you got the tweet that you got today, simplifying everything. But
Yeah.
instead, they
And we're going to
acquired it.
unify. We're going to unify all the belt. We're going to unify the
Yeah,
belts. Yeah.
yeah,
Their
and I
best,
mean,
which they kind of did that, but then they didn't. Then they did. They had like the super belts, remember? But they should have just unified it all to one belt. Yeah.
yeah, even in the tweet, he's like, just kidding. That necessarily did not matter. We're filling a contract deal.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I think people would have got a lot more hyped if they pretty much announced that with the acquisition. Instead, when the acquisition happened, there were a lot of guys demanding their release. A few guys got them. A few guys eventually got booked. But long story short, I've never been more excited for upcoming PFL stuff. I do think this will, because my biggest issue has been like when the Usman Hughes fight, that first fight happened, biggest fight in PFL history, and they literally did nothing for months and months after. Like the next
Yeah.
event was the tournament. So now they're kind of put in a position to where they can have other events in between that tournament, and it's only going to help grow the brand.
Yeah, I will kind of agree with Kevin here. They did lose a lot of talent that they acquired. Some of that top talent, top tier talent. Aaron Pico, we know. Pitbull, we know, amongst others that walked out. They just kind of let their contracts expire and bottom
No,
out. So
not to play revisionist history, but with the results in those matches, are we not saying they might just be some keen business people cutting out those fat contracts that are hurting them?
yeah, maybe. Real quick, Rob did send this voice note. I'm going to try to play it. Um,
Don Davis negotiated a full retard deal.
I don't know if you probably can't hear it, but
I can.
Kind of like a double reverse deal. So I don't remember off the top of my head the total amount of money they get from ESPN, but let's just like make for an even number. Let's just make like 50 million. They got 50 million total from ESPN. Don secured that money by promising ESPN $2 million for every $1 million they get from ESPN. They promised ESPN to carry $2 million worth of advertising time. So that's why we got like literally 2 or 3 brands just over and over and over with them. They got no.
So essentially, what it sounds like is like
guaranteed that much airtime for those.
they only acquired so much money for ads, and that's the reason. That's what it. Rob's kind of making it sound like. So, yeah, it different, just very different deal there. It's like, again, the PFL seems like they're going back, and hopefully when they get out of the ESPN deal, maybe they'll be able to renegotiate for a better deal as well. I mean, they're never going to get UFC money. We know that the UFC, they're never going to catch the UFC. Unless like something crazy happens. But can they become the alternate number 2 where you are excited? Next weekend's a prime example where you're getting Hughes and Usman, really, I guess, for free, right? Because that should be on the PFL app for free.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, they made it a point to say it will be on ESPN, which, should have been
not behind a paywall.
To my knowledge, no. I mean, they definitely know I'll pay for it, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's just pretty much the ESPN Plus subscription. You'd be able to watch it. And then I think anywhere else you can still kind of use the PFL app. But I'm pretty sure that next week is going to be on ESPN, which what's next week's UFC card?
That's the Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev 2.
I thought it was. God damn, that is a Saturday. Better get your grass touching in early.
Yeah, UFC. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I just know that it is 3 something, obviously. Next week, I want to say 320. I was gonna. That's what I was gonna. That's what I was thinking. It was 320. So yeah, that's next weekend. We'll obviously talk about that next week. Speaking of the UFC, moving to the UFC, Bobby. Late last week, we get word that Rafael Fiziev is happened to pull out of the title of not the title, but his main event fight against Charles Oliveira due to injury. I never did hear what the injury was. I didn't have time to I saw a clip or something and I didn't hear what the actual injury was, but he enough to where he has to pull out against Charles.
Unfortunately, it's his knee, and I'm assuming the way he was describing it, I think it's the knee he had surgery on. It's not like it's not a tear or anything, but he basically could not fight on it because he more or less would be risking that.
So the same knee he had, I believe it's ACL or MCL surgery on?
I believe so. I mean, there's a chance it might be the other one, but the video he did, it kind of made it sound like it was the one he had the previous injury with.
Yeah. So real quick, we got a couple comments before we get back in it. Rob just says one championship is circling the drain. Supporting PFL is fighting MMA monopoly, super necessary. 100% agree there, Rob, with you. Yeah. So Kevin says that he hurt his knee, it needs surgery, but wants to rehab. So on Fiziev. I kind of. Go ahead.
One last thing about the PFL, just main takeaway is I'm so much more optimistic than I was a year ago. Though I've always enjoyed the fights when we get them, it just feels like a much better kind of sense of direction that, I'm going to be honest, like we weren't really getting from Don Davis. Like now we finally have a guy that is going to be kind of more official than, your Jonathan Coachman or whatever. So, well done, PFL. And I mean, obviously, Don had some hand in it. I'm not trying to trash Don, but I think he has got a little bit more important things to do than be the face man.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Sounds like they got the right person pointing in the direction there. Back to Fiziev, and so in steps, it seemed like there was so it was kind of this past week of who's going to step in for Fiziev. Charles was like, "Oh, everybody says they will, but they won't." He kind of called out BSD because BSD said he would. And then Gamrot said he was game, but then it seemed like Charles did not want to fight Gamrot. Said, I want a striker because I've been fighting, been training to fight a striker for the last couple weeks. And I don't really want to do a grappler, but something happened there because about 24 hours later, Gamrot was announced. I'd say they probably sweetened the juice here for Charles, because he did say he wanted to stay on the card. And now we're going to get Charles Oliveira versus Gamrot here in a few weeks' time. I actually like the matchup for Charles better coming off of I think Gamrot's a tougher out probably, but I think it's a better for Charles, coming off of that vicious knockout. Happened to face a guy like Gamrot who's not saying that Gamrot can't put you out or whatever, but is not looking to knock you out. He's looking to do more, other things, take you down and those types of things than where Fiziev's coming in to put your lights out.
Yeah, no, I when this matchup first got announced, I had made it no secret that, it was very clear the reason he took it was to fight in Brazil. It's been quite a while since he has, especially, being the main event there. And that's why I knew in the end he was going to eventually accept the Gamrot fight. And I think the UFC was just having a couple other feelers out as well. And pretty much the only one that was willing to do it on that type of short notice was Gamrot. And I couldn't be happier for him because for a guy that was the UFC tried to rematch him and Armin, a fight he won, by the way,
Yeah.
and Armin turned that down. And, the guys at the top were getting a little, it was getting a little like clogged there. We're still waiting kind of for a Patty announcement. Haven't gotten that. And I thought, maybe they'll do Gamrot and him. And
I thought maybe Dan Hooker, but I guess his arm or his hand is still jacked up, I'm guessing.
yeah, I can never tell like how recent those photos are, but he was in some type of sling, so that obviously doesn't look like he'll be fighting anytime soon. And Gamrot stepped up and took the fight, and he's putting himself like in the UFC's good graces. We have not seen Armin Sarukian fight in over 500 days. And yeah, I'm not counting his grappling match with Benson Henderson. Like, I understand why Armin's doing it. He wants to stay active, but how do you think the UFC feels about that when you pull out of the fight the, day before during the weight cut?
Yeah.
And, he just needs to get a fight in the UFC. I've been very vocal that I want him to fight Ilya next. The more and more time that goes on, I just don't think that's a realistic possibility because he has not fought in so long, and the UFC remembers that type of shit.
Yeah, it's been a while, and for me, like Gamrot seems like that guy that's just like he's had some really good wins. Like you said, he's beaten Armin, and it just seems like he can't ever crack that top 5, and it's just like he hasn't had the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't. It's like nobody in the top 5 or 4 will fight him, and now he has that opportunity to kind of break in. I mean, because Charles is at 4 and Gamrot's at 8, and then that'll probably change here, as we know. Is they still have Islam as number 1, so I mean, really, if you slide everybody kind of up, he would be 7, and Charles would be 3, even at best, right? So so like this gives him, you're taking the fight short notice, and then if you can beat Charles Oliveira, you're putting yourself maybe 1 win away from a title shot, and then they have to. The top 2 or 3 have to fight you, and you can state claim that I get a title shot next because I beat the champion, or not. He beat Ilya, not Ilya, but I guess he beat.
I almost would argue if he wins, they could just give it to him next because he's saving their ass for the event in Brazil.
Wow. Yeah,
and Charles did just get a title shot. It's no secret. I did not think they should have given him that title shot. But, I mean, that being the case, he was the last guy to fight for the belt. So, I mean, at minimum, Gamrot would be 1 away. But I could, depending on schedule and stuff, seeing them do a little bit of a leapfrog in there. But it just kind of depends if, they might have Gaethje just waiting in their back pocket to do it. I'm not really looking forward to that. I know that's the one you were kind of calling for to continue the legend killer run, but I don't know. I've just always been about the best fight the best, so fight Armin, but at the same time, Armin is not really making it easy for my thesis here. So
yeah, Rob's saying here, Armin eliminated himself from a title fight, cancel fight, then he turned down the Gamrot fight. He fucked himself. Yeah, agreed. Agreed. You're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah, I had a much more politically correct answer, and Rob just streamlined it like, well, actually, and I completely agree, Rob.
Anybody, and I'm kind of with you. Like, if you want to tell me that Armin should be next, like I would say yes, but he's already had his shot and he didn't do it, and he hasn't done himself any favors since. And we know Dana White, once he has an axe to grind, he is not going to let up. Like you're going to have to pay the piper. Like that's just kind of who he is and how he is.
I could even think Hunter Campbell is a little bit more bitter than Dana on this one too, because he's the one that is getting these phone calls at 3 a.m. when they're saying they don't think they're going to make the weight, or I don't think I can fight. And he was definitely the one that called Moicano and told him there'd be a few extra zeros on his check. So And that's, you can kind of afford to piss Dana White off these days because he's so like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But you do not want to piss off the man that is literally responsible for all this type of matchmaking, which is Hunter Campbell.
Agreed. In some other MMA news, what do you make of this Gable Stevenson? I don't did he? I can't even remember. Did he win his first MMA bout? And now he's going over to Dirty Boxing. So now you have a boxing debut. And then John Jones, I saw said he wants to coach Gable all the way to the title.
Yeah, so John was in his corner for the LFA fight, so he's kind of already planted that seed. And this news did not really shock me at all because not only is John an owner in Dirty Boxing there, but John's representation is also kind of the main force behind it, and I'm pretty sure they're who represent Gable. And it's not too shocking to me. I think, he's going to continue to main event. He's probably going to get paid more than he did to main event that LFA card. And the way these matchups are being done, I feel like they're just trying to kind of cater him, get him some professional bouts. And the end goal really seems like probably next year's Contender, which would explain kind of.
He goes on Contender. It goes on Contender.
I think they would. We saw what they did with Bo Nickel. I don't know if they do the exact Bo Nickel thing and say, "Hey, kid, you went through him quick. Let's get one more." I mean, we all know Bo Nickel was signed at that point, and they were just more trying to hype up the Contender series.
Right.
But Bo's a unique case, but I think Gable would be a little bit more unique, and all his transgressions aside, I'm not trying to really absolve him for all that. That's always kind of going to be the elephant in the room following him. But he took no damage in the LFA fight, so it makes sense to just try to get the most activity you can.
What's the percentage Gable Stevenson makes so we say he's going to go on Contender Series. What's the chances that Gable Stevenson makes his UFC debut at the White House?
Oh, God. When you were pitching it, I knew it was coming. I'm like, oh.
Hey, promoter brain, baby. You got that promoter brain.
It could be a possibility. That is far enough time to where I guess they could instantly sign him. It probably would work with the whole idea of the card. What's Rob saying here?
Hey, he said, have you seen Gable's opponent's last fights? 4 or 5 L's in a row. I mean, that's probably true. So, yeah. I mean, they're not the top of the run, Rob. They're trying to promote this.
Yeah, well, I saw people like concerned that it was like the dirty boxing aspect of it. And I'm sorry, but I'm just assuming this is probably some of the most favorable matchmaking. Like we saw Brian Battle's opponent, and I think he can still follow up with strikes on the ground with the whole dirty boxing thing. So I think it's kind of a unique way to get his skill set out there, kind of, hopping through these regional promotions. And
he's got a name too. So like he's got it, people, so people are they know they're going to get the tune in, or people are going to come watch because he is who he is.
See, I would almost feel, and yeah, I guess the way Contender runs, it's hard to say. Like, who knows? Maybe something gets announced.
I'm not saying maybe he goes on Contender, but I'm asking what the percentage of his
that he goes straight to it. Yeah.
Or he goes to Contender and then his first like official fight in the UFC is at the White House.
I would say probably 50-50 because
well, you put that high on it.
Yeah. I mean, I would just kind of assume that these are the type of guys that the UFC would kind of prefer to have. I could maybe see it like going another route of maybe him really wanting to take time and develop before going on the Contender Series, because it's not like he should necessarily be in a hurry or anything. And I know he could make a lot more money outside of the Contender Series. So, but I still would kind of put it at 50-50. I do think the end game is the UFC. And more importantly, I think the UFC would kind of want to highlight him on Contender. Now, this could be just because I have, Contender brain of watching it yesterday and, the last few weeks. But I think it's much more likely he does a Contender thing than, PFL could definitely make him a great offer for him to go there. But I think it's much more likely get a couple more regional fights, Contender, and then the White House. And the main thing I was saying is if they were going to expand the Contender Series, because normally the next Contender Series would not start until after August. So it's going to be after the White House card.
Yeah.
But it would not shock me at all if some rights deal gets announced and we're getting like a January or February Contender
Series like 2 times a year, more or less.
Yeah. Which would give him more than enough time to kind of make his debut. And you see like Bo Nickel is still on the main card of his next fight coming up. So I would have to assume they would kind of treat Stevenson the same way there.
Yeah, Bo Nick on the MSG card. I'm kind of, how about that? How about Dana sticking it to John Jones? Gets Gable on the White House card, and has to coach Gable because that's what he's doing. And then John's not fighting on the White House card, and that's about as close as he gets to the White House card. That would be pretty funny.
It would be funny. I will say though, this is no secret. I don't believe a word Dana White says when it comes to that stuff, and especially when he's been the whole thing of calling him unreliable.
Me neither.
I get it. I'm not really disputing it. However, when you make the case of saying he's unreliable, but you got Conor McGregor calling him reliable, saying he can headline when Mr. Reliable couldn't even fight with a broken toe against Michael Chandler, I found that whole thing just pretty funny, like in general. And
yeah, agreed. They're the same.
The only reason I don't rule out John on the White House is I just think it's that'd be like the only thing that seems to be the only motivational faction to get him to come back. He does not really seem to care about the belt or fighting Tom. But hey, you tell him he can fight on the White House. Apparently that's enough for him to get off the couch. So I don't need to rehash it. I'd love to see it, but like, what would we be even gain at this point? The whole White House card to me has been pretty comical talking about it because, like, yeah, it is happening, but it isn't happening until like June, and there's going to be so much time in between it.
Oh yeah,
and I think a lot of the chatter of it was just more the dead week of no UFC.
Agreed. Rob says John Jones dropping into the cage like Sting at the 90s at the White House. Amen to that. Yeah. It's Sting. It's John Jones. That would be pretty funny. It'll be interesting. I don't want to get too much into the White House. I just wanted to talk about Gable real quick and kind of got my brain turning to the White House just because I think that would be a good spot. I could see them promoting him as far as like getting into the White House. But we got to get to this week's card where the UFC is.
One last real quick thing. I can't remember how many fights Bo Nickel had when they brought him on. I want to say it was like 3.
Three. Yeah, I think it was. He was three, and then he had the 2 contender series, so he was like 5-0 going into his first ever UFC, official
Yeah.
bout. Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, like, would the magic number be 5? And he gets one more in, then they do maybe the double contender route. Because I would assume the first opponent he has, he's going to get on the ground and go for a submission. And
Yeah.
I have noticed a lot more favorable matchmaking in this season of the contender than I have in any season. But they're gonna do what they're gonna do. So
Yeah, they're trying to get the knockouts and those types of things. We talked about that on a previous episode. Let's get into this week's card. It is live in Perth. Man, this is a late night fight night card. I mean, it's 9:00 my time, so I mean, not too late for you, but for the Perth, early Sunday morning.
yeah, Rob was saying in the space, quote, because they're in the future is why they probably always just get dicked on the times. But they pretty much did the same thing with Drickus Strickland too, and lo and behold, it's kind of wild to see. It's like, yes, we will pay the site fee, and it will not be on our prime time, no problem. And just more of that's about to come.
Cross, I beg to differ. I love the early card. The earlier, the better for me. So I love waking up watching the UFC and stuff in the morning time. It gives me the rest of the day, or even a good afternoon card. So it gives me the rest of the day to kind of chill out. But we get into this is a nice card. I mean, this is I believe if you're Australian, you're on this card. Other than maybe a few. Kai Car France comes to mind. Tai Tuivasa is not on this card, obviously.
It's loaded from the bottom down. It's really good fights.
I mean, just our Oban Elliott's on this card. He's coming off his first loss in the UFC, taking on Jonathan Milkiff. Colby Thickney is on this card as well. He had a nice fight last time out. So it's like, I mean, everybody on this card is like almost every fight is an Australian fighting somebody. Andre Petrosky taking on Cam Roteson. You got Tom Nolan on this card as well. Unfortunately, one of the Taffa brothers had to fall out. Justin Taffa is still on the card. Luis taking on Luis Sutherland. Then you got Neil Magny versus Jake Matthews. And Jimmy Crute versus Ivan Earlson. Jimmy Crute's had some nice bounce back wins here. I think he's won like his last three fights, I believe. Jimmy Crute has. I take that back. He won his last one, but before that had a decision. So then you get to the main event, and the main event's probably the most. You got Carlos Ulberg, 13-1, representing Australia, New Zealand, and versus Dominic Reyes. Reyes, the dog, 15-4, plus 200 for the Dominator. We all know Dominic Reyes' story, Bobby. I mean, had the rise. I mean, many people still to this day say he beat John Jones for the title, and it seemed like he was hung on that fight for so many years. He had 4 straight losses, or counting the Jones fight, 4 straight losses, but now he's on a nice 3-fight winning streak, trying to get back to the title. This is with the title fight next week. These two guys could be fighting for a fight, maybe to be the number 1 contender, especially if Alex Pereira wins. These two guys, he has not fought him, and so you could say these two guys could be next, where the co-main of next week, if Ankalaev wins, they could make a case as well. But this is a very important main event.
You know how depressed you sounded when you said if Ankalaev wins, they can fight him as well? Like the difference in tone, Like that was almost like Dean Thomas when he was talking about Ankalaev. Like,
Hey, no bias here, Bobby. No bias. Headkicks and Haymakers, number one, non-biased coverage.
yeah, I mean, to me, this is a number one contender fight, especially with the fight next week. I know a lot of people want to say that Yuri Roundtree is, should be the next number one contender, but I don't know.
I think it depends on who wins the title. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I could kind of see it either way, especially like kind of wanting to build off what's going to go down in Perth. And Ulberg is kind of right there. I know the reason that Alex Pereira pretended to be hacked initially was because they were offering the fight to Ulberg there. And but I think that was just more a scheduling thing, and because Alex was injured. But I mean, you kind of said it with Dominic Reyes and the resurgence, because you get that close, you're in a scenario where a lot of people think you won the fight, and then there you go on a brutal skid to almost completely think you're never going to get it back. And I don't care if I was overhyping an Anthony Smith victory. It just felt like the most feel-good story, like kind of seeing him get on that resurgence and stuff. And I definitely think they put him in that position to, I know they're high on Ulberg, and if he can win, it would not shock me at all if, they maybe go for him next, especially because to me, there's nothing like super spicy and lightweight where you need to get that guy a title fight. Both Yuri and Roundtree have already had that chance, so it's not like they're really getting iced out. I know you would love to see Roundtree fight for the title again, but it's not, especially like the technical battle. I think that fight's going to be a lot more technical than people think. I think people are going to think a lot, there's going to be rocking, socking robots.
No, I think it's going to be a very technical fight, especially from what we saw from Roundtree his last time out against Hill.
Yeah, and I just definitely feel like we have much more chance for a statement win, get my name to the top of the line this weekend, than we do on that MSG card. But, then again, the difference a month makes is pretty wild.
No, so, you mean if the next card, the Roundtree and Jan fights next weekend?
Yeah, but MSG is in like November.
Yeah,
because Tom and Gon are the second pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So I mean, there'll be like time in between. I mean, definitely for whoever to get healed up on both sides, especially because Ankalaev and Pereira are fighting next. And I do think if Ankalaev wins, he's going to really prioritize activity and kind of want to get back in there. Not trying to say Alex won't, even though there's quotes of him saying, if I ever win the title again, I'm going to take my time with it, because he bailed the UFC out of a lot of things, to his credit. But I don't know if we're ever going to see that again, because he talked about his body wearing down and stuff. So I do think this Saturday is more or less kind of the most important fight in the 205 division, other than the title fight the following week.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that they're lined up together. These three fights, like two of the fights are on the same card. You get this fight, real quick. Yeah, Cross said that Ank said, I know he hasn't fought Reyes or Ulberg. What I'm saying is, I think that if Ank wins, whoever wins the Roundtree and Yuri fight, like they could make a case that they're next. Where I feel like the winner, if Pierre wins next weekend, the winner of this fight, this Saturday fight, I feel like would get the hedge because they have not fought Alex. But if Ank wins, then it's a kind of a two-man race, like to figure it out between it would go to maybe who had the better style points, who had the knockout, what I mean, whatever the UFC they could promote to me. So like that's
Yeah,
kind of where I'm at on that one.
And Ulberg is the hometown guy too, so that's gonna help a lot if he gets some sensational moment.
Yeah. Rob says can't support Ulberg. Brother wore makeup for his UFC profile
I
picture.
can't wait to hear this. Oh my god!
Didn't know
so
that.
I'm glad you're here, Rob. Always bringing the facts that I overlook.
Did he wear makeup? Let me look. I'm gonna pull. I got his picture here on. Well, I can't tell.
I guarantee you, if he says it, he's looked into it. That doesn't seem like a random comment.
Rob's not one to make some too much wild shit up. So, but yeah, it's an interesting fight. I think this is going to be obviously two guys that are going to stand and bang. I wasn't that impressed with Ulberg's last fight when he beat Blachowicz. But we'll see here. I mean, Reyes has been on this nice run, and Reyes is the feel good story. I mean, if he goes and wins the title, get the Rock again, baby, because we're gonna need another movie. And it's going to be the Dominator movie because, I mean, if Dominic Reyes wins the title, right? I mean, tell me I'm wrong, Bobby. Tell me you can't make it.
I literally said in Rob's space yesterday, if you're not rooting for Dominic Reyes, you're a fucking terrorist.
Yeah.
And
I mean, get back in shape, baby, because we're going to need you for another movie, the Dominator story, the Dominic Reyes, the Dominator story. Because and you start the movie, right? Like maybe at the John Jones, where he's fighting John Jones, and you kind of flash back into that, and then the losses, and then he works his way back up. That'd be incredible. It's already a movie. I mean, it'd be incredible.
You should write it and get it a streaming deal.
Yeah. Is there another fight, Bobby? What fight you like here on the undercard here?
Are we doing picks for the main? Or
yeah, we're gonna pick the main, but I just didn't know if there's another fight that you liked that you wanted to shout out.
On the undercard, so not
or just the
counting
rest
the
of the card, I guess, not just so much the undercard.
Yeah, I mean it's stacked. Pretty. I'm kind of interested to see how Oba and Elliott will bounce back. From that first loss and stuff. It's not like they're really giving him an easy opponent or something. The Jimmy Crute fight is also interesting to me because his last couple fights have been a lot better and a lot more, entertaining. What you're kind of getting. I wasn't trying to laugh when you mentioned the one Tafa brother got pulled off, but I don't know if I was ready for the double shot of Tafa. So
what was the co-main event? That's the one that got pulled out. Is that that was Junior maybe?
Yeah. And, that type of stuff sucks, especially, when they're gonna, they're in their hometown and stuff. And it definitely seems like they are the new Tuivasa almost. Like they make sure at least one of them is on this card. So, and Navajo Sterling is the headliner of the prelims. And I'm kind of interested, see, what we get with that fight too. But, top to bottom, this is built very, very well. Like it feels like a fight. I mean, this is much better than the Drickish Strickland card, and that was a pay-per-view.
Yeah. This is going to be a good Saturday night set of fights here. Who do you like win this main?
As Witt would say, am I going with the heart or am I going with the head? Because I don't know. I'm glad you brought up Ulberg's last fight because he definitely did seem to fight a little bit more cautious against Jan. I mean, granted, step up in competition, so you probably are assuming you're going to be getting that. I kind of always wrote it off that at the time there was a chance that if he won that fight, he would be next. Because, it was kind of up in the air with if Pereira was going to get the rematch. So maybe that's why he fought a little bit conservative there. Maybe it was just, Jan's skill and him not, wanting to get too far out ahead of himself. And I kind of go back a little to that even more on this fight, because if this is a scenario where he could be kind of next in line with a win, is he going to fight a little bit more safe at all? I mean, Dominic Reyes is a dangerous opponent. This is a 5-round fight, so he's probably, going to want to, keep the cardio in check a little bit. But then you see him fighting in his hometown. So, I mean, will the emotions get in the way and he's just going to want to come out and blitz? Because, Dominic Reyes, though he does have some losses, he is extremely tough there. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say that Reyes definitely has the experience in this one, especially with the 5-round fights. So I'm going really back and forth on it. I think it's more or less kind of a coin flip. If it gets into the later rounds, I definitely trust Reyes a lot more. And I just don't know if Ulberg is going to be able to get that quick finish. So as I noted on Rob's space, saying if you're not going for Dom Reyes, you're a terrorist. I am not a terrorist. So
I don't know. That's
Dominic
debatable,
Reyes.
Bobby. That's debatable whether you're a terrorist or not.
Well, YouTube does have weird, discretion with things, but I'm I want the feel good story to keep going. And though I'm not really, it's not like I'm not a fan of Ulberg. It'd be a good moment to see him win as well. But the much better feeling moment would be Dominic Reyes getting that, main event win in enemy territory. And damn well if he gets that win, he's going to call his shot, and he better be at the event the following weekend. Because,
take the fight over to Vegas, baby. Take the fight.
I think with both Reyes and Ulberg, either of them make a great matchup for whoever the winner is of that 205 fight. So I definitely think this it's going to be a number one contender fight, and I'm really hoping that Dominic Reyes is able to pull it off.
So you're going Reyes?
Yeah, give me Reyes.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm leaning right there with you. What's
the line?
Reyes is plus 200.
Yeah, no, they're giving him respect. I like that.
Yeah. So Ulberg is minus 250. Reyes is plus 200. I mean, I don't think either one's going to be a sub, but either one is plus 1,700 for Reyes, plus 1,600 for Ulberg. KO by Reyes is plus 325.
I mean, the sub by Reyes is kind of juicy because you figure if it gets into those later rounds, if he can get it. But
by points, either by points, Reyes plus 850, Ulberg plus 500.
Yeah, I mean, them making him 2-1 is they're showing the respect. In my opinion, a 2-1 is basically a 50-50 fight. I mean, granted, if you bet on the underdog, you're getting double your money. But with MMA especially, it does not take much. It's not like a 2-1 football team or baseball. There's so much little room for error that I think that's priced right. And it kind of makes sense that Ulberg would be, the favorite there because of the age and, kind of the run he's been on there.
So how about this? For the just total rounds, over under on the total rounds is a half a round. If you go over a half a round, it's plus 190. I'd take
that. I probably would too. I mean, granted, that is kind of indicating that they expect these guys to throw and that they're not going to need the championship rounds. But
a half a round?
That is 1.5 is very, especially a plus
1.5, a half a round.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it says 0.5 plus 190.
Wow, I'd take that all day. I mean, granted, I kind of get it with Ulberg. So yes is plus 190.
Yeah. Over. Oh, if you think the round is going to go over, you think the fight's going to go over a half a round, so 2 minutes.
I'd jump on that immediately because, like, you got to figure he's going to come out somewhat safe.
Safe. Yeah. Right.
Unless, Reyes' game plan is just to get in his face and put pressure on him.
This
But
is now I'm looking at ESPN bet, so it might be. But I mean, if I'm ESPN bet, if I'm on ESPN bet, I'm fucking. That's probably close to what everybody else has got.
yeah, that's wild. I figured it'd be at 1.5,
No,
and I would
half a
still
round.
think that. Yeah, that's pretty wild. I mean,
Under under half a round is minus 400.
that's wild.
Yeah.
That's
Fucking take the over.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that I'd easily take that over. That if I had a prop like that available to me, I would do it. But
yeah,
bitch ass California ain't gonna let me get that action.
we don't get that action until December 1st here. I wouldn't even need to prop. I would just fucking bet the plus 190. And I just bet
Yeah,
solo bet that. But I mean, if you're gonna I'd throw it in some props as well. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. So
that'd be a pretty sweet leg to the parlay for sure.
Cross says that he's got 0.25 is plus 110. I'm telling you what I'm seeing on ESPN, on my ESPN bet, when I just clicked on like the ESPN app, it said on the fight odds cross, it says 0.05 plus 190. So I don't know. I mean, maybe the ESPN's fucking dumb, but so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean the 3.5 definitely sounds kind of a lot more in line, or at least
Yeah, two and
two
a
and a
half
half.
sounds right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot more sense. Who knows? Maybe ESPN's just doing some, Mickey Mouse shit to get people. I mean, they clean up with those type of props and
yeah,
stuff. I mean,
yeah.
that's the main thing they make their money on compared to like the money lines.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah. All right. Well. Anyway, I'm picking Reyes. I just feel like we got to continue the great story here. With the Dominator. We're gonna be making a movie with Dominic Reyes. That's the ultimate. That'd be the ultimate prize. So to think that you're on the mountaintop, that you beat the goat, and then you let that kind of stick with you for 3 years, it felt like, maybe, and then you finally get out of it, and then now you're in a nice win streak. Let's keep it
Yeah,
going.
I did not think this moment was really going to be possible
No.
if you would have asked me a year ago. So,
Yeah.
you get so little feel good stories in the UFC these days. So, just give us this one, Fight Gods.
Yeah, a year ago, 2020, 2022. So he didn't fight in 2023. After he lost to Ryan Spann, then he beat Jacoby in June of 8th, 2024. Then he won, beat Anthony Smith in December of 24, and then he beat Krylov earlier this year. But like when he lost to Ryan Spann, you're like, he's probably one loss away from being cut.
Yeah, I mean,
If he
I'm
lost to Justin Jacoby, he probably is cut, right? Like close to it, like just you're like whatever.
I mean, I think he has a little bit better graces than the average fighters because he does work for him on the broadcasting and stuff
Yeah,
as well. And side note on that, I saw that Robert Whitaker is going to be working the desk this week, so
correct. Yeah,
that's pretty cool to see in Perth. And yeah, you know, bring bring all the Australian guys you got. I mean, if you look on the card, I think almost
every
every
fight has
fighter
like
is
yeah,
Australia.
yeah, is either Australian or New Zealand has. I just saw it. Let me go
It's
back
a
here.
hell of a lot better than UFC Noche. That's all
So
I'll say.
only one fight I believe on this whole card doesn't have an Australian or New Zealand, and that is the opener. The curtain jerker does not have one on there, And so that is and that has Thailand and Brazil. So
yeah, I am very that's a great fight to start with. That'll be one to make sure that I'm gonna be watching.
Outside of that, every fight has an Australian or a New Zealand representative.
Hell of a lot better than Noche, that's for sure.
Yeah. Rob says if the UFC had any balls, they would bring back Mark Hunt on the disc. Hell yeah, baby. Hey, they won't even show Mark Hunt if Mark Hunt was in the crowd, Rob. That's how much they hate Mark Hunt.
Yeah, right that'd be some Dan Campbell level of cojones to put him on. Like he would, and they would not show him in the crowd if he was there. They wouldn't let him in. What am I saying?
Not even if he was coaching somebody. Bobby, you got anything else before we get up out of here?
No, I think we pretty much, covered it all. Really excited for next week. I know we'll get into that, but double MMA event always hits nice. So probably gonna be doing another 11-hour space. That should be fun. But no more final thoughts. I'm just glad to get for the week off. It's good to have a decent card with an insane crowd, opposed to just being a week off and being like, hey, we're back at the Apex. Because, normally they will Apex it down for the pay-per-view the following week. So I'm glad we went Perth straight into pay-per-view. So well done.
And like I said, this title fight, or not the title fight, but the main event aligns well with next week's main event.
Definitely. And lastly said on the PFL, well fucking done. It's about time, but I give you a lot of criticism, so I definitely got to get you some praise. Much more excited to see what we're going to get with future PFL here. Now that, in his own words, it's all been simplified. We've only been asking for it for 2 years, but better late than never.
Yeah, we'll be back next week, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. We'll talk about that Hughes Nurmagomedov fight with the PFL. Plus, we'll talk all things UFC 320 next week. So make sure you tune in, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern, right here for another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'll be back with the boys for Fall Start Thursday tomorrow night. We'll talk all things NFL and our Week 4. So other than that, folks, be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. We appreciate everybody tuning in on the chat. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Rob. And if you're on the Twitter, check out Rob's space pretty much every fight night. Anytime there's a fight, Rob's got a space going on. Tune in with Rob and the boys. Bobby's pretty active. I try to tune in. I usually try to chime in the prelims, the main event card. I like to just kind of watch in peace. So other than that, folks, we'll catch you right back here with another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers from my guy, Bobby Blunts. I'm Bodkins. We'll see you next week, baby. Have the best weekend of your life.
Enjoy the fights.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.